Good afternoon, and welcome to my MYP personal project presentation, where I'll be displaying how I went through the entire process of building a PC from start to finish. I'll also be demonstrating the knowledge I gained later on within my project when I helped others build their own PCs. To begin, let's take a look at the table of contents I'll be going over in today's presentation. I'll be going over the following four criterias: investigating, planning, taking action, and reflecting. Throughout my presentation, we will go in depth into each of these four criterias. First off, we'll be diving into criteria A, investigating, where I define my inspiration, goals, global context, as well as the extensive research I conducted. Now to begin, before we go on my journey of digging deep into my PC building journey, first we have to know the backstory, the inspiration that led me to wanting to pursue this hobby and passion of mine. Now, ever since I was a kid, I had a considerable amount of consoles while growing up, and have always been intrigued by gaming. However, I really began to play PC video games when I entered middle school in grade 6. Unfortunately, I realized the MacBook Air I was using would certainly not be enough in order to allow me to play all the video games I wanted to play. Along with this, I've always had a strong sense of fascination with computers, as I've always been curious about how they are built. Going back to the November of 2020, I had three main goals in mind, which were quite simple. It was to learn to build a PC, use that knowledge to make instructional YouTube videos, and lastly, provide help to my community that I would create. Moving on to my MYP global context. My MYP global context was scientific and technical innovation, specifically exploring the impact of scientific and technological advances of communities and environments. Throughout this project, I was able to reflect upon both the global context as well as the exploration and what they truly define. Next is my prior learning. Before this project, I did gain some general knowledge from attending IBT, which is the International Business and Technology Program. It provided me a foundation of knowledge within this field. I also gained lots of knowledge through friends, as many of my friends have already built their own PCs. And lastly, I gained knowledge through several years of experience. Previously, I had done extensive research when I was searching for the answers regarding why I faced the MacBook limitations that I did. Now, as for the last section of criteria A, the research. For this project, I had to do an overly excessive amount of research in order to ensure that the build of my PC goes successful. I had to complete the source evaluations for 12 different research components. I had to conduct research for each and every part of the PC, as well as installing Windows and building the PC itself. Some of the most important research includes the following. I researched motherboards through Scattervault, CPUs through Gaming Scan, and GPUs once again through Scattervault. These sources helped me learn the variety in these components, and also allowed me to learn about the various specs and impacts, the part's purpose, as well as how I can find the perfect PC component. Now let's take a look at criteria B, the planning stage, in which I go over the criteria I set for myself, as well as the development plan and self-management skills I demonstrated. Starting off with the criteria. I'm sure that the criteria I create is quite challenging, however, not challenging enough to the point where the goals are entirely out of reach. I chose this criteria to evaluate my final outcome, as it is much more accurate in allowing me to understand the progress I made. As for the goals itself, it includes maintaining a budget of $1,500 when building my PC, completing the build of my PC by late December, attaining 1,000 views on YouTube, acquiring 150 subscribers, getting proof of at least 10 people with their built PCs after taking my help, and hosting live streams with an average of at least 5 viewers. Now, let's take a look at the second stage of criteria B, the development plan. Before your eyes is the development plan I had created in December to follow in order to ensure the project is completed on time. It helped me to stay on track and remember the tasks that I had to prioritize. As you can see here, there are two images of the process of me during the early stages of the development plan. The first picture is of all the PC parts once they had all been shipped, and the second photo is of me when I was building the PC itself. During this stage, I gained lots of knowledge from first-hand experience. From this photo, you can also see that I picked up some editing skills, as I had to make minor tweaks here and there to ensure my videos I uploaded were perfect. And lastly, the picture on the right shows the setup I had when hosting the live streams to ensure I was able to effectively solve any community members' issues. Now, throughout my project, I was able to hone several self-management skills. The two main ones I was able to improve upon were time management skills, as well as updating my plan as required. To begin, I effectively demonstrated time management skills through the entirety of my project. I was able to practice these skills when I followed my development plan by ordering all my PC components by early December, building the PC itself by late December, and uploading all YouTube videos by January. Later on, I then completed all my live streams by February, and throughout my entire project, I was able to consistently update the process journals on ManageBack and ensure to complete the entire project on time. Honing my time management skills proved to be extremely beneficial in allowing me to balance my schoolwork, personal project, as well as my personal life. The second self-management skill I was able to improve upon was updating my plan as required. Honing these skills allowed me to determine any factors that were delaying my plan. For example, facing issues regarding delayed shipping, ordering incompatible parts, as well as running into issues when building the PC itself. Now, in order to fix these issues, I had to determine what needed to be done. Overall, developing these skills certainly helped me to overcome any of the obstacles I faced. Moving forward, let's take a look at Criteria C, Taking Action, where I will also be showcasing the final product created. First off, let's take a look at the product I created. So this is a gaming PC I spent many hours conducting research for as well as building. In the end, I think it turned out to be amazing as I love the way it performs as well as the way it looks. Next, here's the YouTube channel I created. In the end, I was able to acquire 168 subscribers and 1,637 views, both of which are above the goals I had in mind. And last but not least, here's a screenshot of the Discord server I created in order to provide help to my community using my expertise in this field. Next, I'll be talking about the thinking skills I was able to improve upon over the course of this project. These skills include problem solving and critical thinking. I demonstrated problem solving skills when I was faced with obstacles during the project. For example, running into shipping delay as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, which forced me to do extensive research to find a store with the same part as well as with faster delivery time. I also ran into issues when building the PC itself, such as the CPU cooler not installing, the RAM sticks not functioning, and the System32 files being corrupt. I fixed all these issues through perseverance and by finding solutions online. And lastly, when trying to solve the issue with my incompatible fans. In the end, the simple solution was to order compatible fans while returning the incompatible ones as mentioned before. My critical thinking skills was certainly one of the most improved skills I saw in myself throughout the project. This project required me to use my critical thinking at several different occurrences. For example, when having to apply the knowledge I had gained into making my YouTube videos, as well as having to think on the spot and try and fix any and all problems occurring within the PCs of my fellow community members. Next, let's take a look at how I was able to improve upon my communication and social skills. The three main skills I was able to improve upon was public speaking, clarity of thought, and interaction with community. I honed my skills for public speaking as releasing YouTube videos on the internet is certainly not something to overlook. Anyone from around the world can see the videos, and that fact is what allowed me to become a much more confident speaker. This confidence also helped me when doing my live streams. It was much easier for me to convey my messages and help my community members fix their PC problems effectively. I also demonstrated clarity of thought, as one of my major tasks within the project was to create YouTube videos to act as instructional videos for someone wanting to build a PC. In order to create these videos, lots of thought had to go on behind the scenes. It allowed me to ensure the videos were as effective as possible in getting the point across. It also allowed me to keep the videos relatively short, concise, and straight to the point. As for the third communication and social skill, I was able to effectively interact with the community through both my YouTube videos as well as my Discord server. Now that brings me to the last criteria, criteria D, reflecting. As for the criteria I had set for myself, I was able to successfully achieve each and every one of these goals. I was able to maintain the budget of $1,500 as I spent $1,476. I was able to attain 1,637 views out of the original 1,000 I hoped for. My goal was to attain 150 subscribers, in which I got 168. I was able to require proof of exactly 10 people with their built PCs after taking my help. And lastly, my goal was to maintain an average of 5 viewers in my live streams, whereas I was able to maintain 6. As for the evaluation of the criteria itself, I would give myself all 8s or exceeding, except for the goal containing live streams and subscribers. As for the live streams, I believe that I could have tried to conduct more live streams and try and help the community out as much as possible. And regarding the subscriber count, although I certainly did achieve the goal, I believe it could have been possible to exceed the goal even more. I also got my peer Jay Agarwal to do a criteria evaluation based on my project, in which he gave all exceeding expectations, except the goal containing my average viewer count, stating that it could have been possible to exceed these 5 viewers by expanding my community on a more wider spectrum. So now let's take a look at how I deepened my knowledge of the global context. I became a PC tech expert, learned to edit YouTube videos, as well as become a YouTuber, and be the owner of a Discord community to provide help regarding PCs. These 3 steps allowed me to further explore my MYP global context, scientific and technical innovation. As for the inquiry question, I was able to fully comprehend how one is able to learn and teach the technical aspects of building a PC. Along with this, I deepened my understanding on how conducting research from various communities and environments can go a long way, leaving a large impact within the lives of many. The constant engagement I had within this unit of technology certainly allowed me to foster my skills in this field. Furthermore, we can also see how I reflected and developed on the IB learner profile. Throughout the course of the project, I certainly became more knowledgeable from the extensive research I conducted in Criteria A, the knowledge I was able to acquire from friends, as well as the knowledge I gained from talking to PC experts and the knowledge gained from first-hand experience. I also developed my ability to be a thinker, as critical thinking was required of me in order to fix the issues regarding incompatible parts. I also had to try and fix the corrupt System32 files I had within my PC. I further enhanced my thinking skill by addressing common mistakes one could make when building a PC. And lastly, I was able to hone my thinking skills by spontaneously thinking on the spot for what could be done as the solution to people's problems. Now that brings me to the end of my presentation. Here is my bibliography as well as the appendices, which I've also attached as separate files. And I would like to thank you for taking the time to listen to my journey. Once again, thank you for listening.